All right, folks, we are warmed up and ready to sprint today with Coach Erskine Baker. I'm so excited that you're here. Thank you so much for coming. Please tell the people who you are live from Essen, Germany.
Okay, I'm Erskine Baker. I'm originally from Charlotte, North Carolina. I've been in Germany for a few years now. I'm a former athlete, former track coach, former American football coach, have a vast amount of experience, but I'm also still learning because you never stop learning in speed training. So I've been here a few years. I coach several soccer teams. I coach SGS Schoenebeck. And they are the women's team. And I also coach the U17 team and the U20 team. And I also have another team in SC Felbert, and they are the U14. And and I also work at Fusion 5. And so I train private clients there also.
Dope. And you have a field hockey team as well, don't you?
Oh, yeah, I forget.
You're everywhere over the board.
Yeah, I also have a field hockey team in Mülheim, and they have won the Bundesliga championship the past 2 years.
And what do we learn from that? It's speed kills and it wins titles.
Yes, it does. It sure does.
It gets you all the way back to the German championship for the first time in I don't know how long. Congratulations on that really good second place win with your ladies, with your Mädels.
Oh, okay.
We just for references for the listeners, Coach and I have a good time Instagram messaging each other back and forth when our teams play in the Bundesliga, saying, good luck, Coach. The girls are looking sharp today, blah, blah, blah. So I love catching your girls live on TV when I can. But yeah, that German championship was the Pokal game was a close one. I had hope.
Yeah, we almost pulled it off. So I mean, those
so
girls
close.
put in a lot of work. They put in a lot of work, and they really developed. Every girl developed, and it was performance time, and so they performed at a high level. That's, as a speed trainer, I want to always give my coaches the fastest, most athletic athletes that they can work their magic with. So that was one of the pinnacles. We got those girls to their top performance, and they performed well. We just came in on the short end of the stick.
They performed well against one of the best teams in the world, arguably, and it was incredible to see. They turned their performance, cranked it all the way up. So let's talk about that more specifically. I remember you saying that night that you see Essen as a development team for the Bundesliga, which is true in many ways. You guys develop young athletes, bring them up through experience, and then oftentimes they will transfer to a bigger club with a bigger contract, or they get a national team call up, and boom, they're overseas. So can you tell me about developing the capacity of an athlete when it comes to speed? How does that look over the long term?
Over long term, it depends on the athlete. The basis of my program mainly is I want to teach my athletes to be the best sprinters that they can be with good sprint mechanics. Mm-hmm. We're always trying to get them to their best, not necessarily the best of what they see other people running. And if those people are more athletic, we have to build them individually to their best. Mm-hmm. And it starts with a good base. So, and that base generally starts in the off season. And so I like to start with aerobic runs. Mm-hmm. We're going to build up our aerobic capacity and open up the capillaries to bring in more blood, more oxygen, so they can deal with the stress of lactic acid. And it just makes everything, it builds everything. It gives you a really good base mm-hmm. for your training to training phase. So yeah, we start out with base runs, progressive runs, fartlek. The German soccer loves the VO2 max runs.
Oh yeah, they do.
We start off with that and just build that real good base. But then during this phase, I have to identify certain athletes. If it's an athlete that I think that is, if they're slow and you know that they're slow and they need help with their sprint mechanics they're just not they're a low performer. That's what it is. If you find them, then sometimes I'll cut back on the base runs and the progressive runs, and then I'll start working with acceleration with them. Not going full throttle yet, but doing some technical acceleration drills, wall drills. Are you familiar with those? Mm-hmm. Doing wall drills, doing technical things, really working with their arms. If all my athletes know that I'm always talking about arms.
Yep.
Because your arms, they control your tempo, range of motion, turnover, stride length. They control everything.
Yep.
And in soccer, it's anaerobic. You're in an anaerobic phase, so the arms are going to move the same as the legs. Mm-hmm. So I really want to scale back and work on that with them, and I want them to maybe we're not going full throttle yet, but we have to do acceleration, because if you target these athletes and they're already slow, they're not going to get faster just by doing those slow runs. So you got to start hitting a little bit of acceleration and speed a little bit earlier with them, because
start hitting that gas pedal a little bit.
Exactly.
Tap.
And then sometimes you'll have a group of your team, they're ready to go. They really need, you have some girls that need to work on their sprint battery and that aerobic phase. That is like really important. Most of my soccer players, that's why I can scale back and work acceleration, because they really, you can almost play yourself into shape with soccer.
Totally. That's so true.
But you can't go back and get that speed later.
Yeah.
I mean, it's hard, it's tough to get it later. You gotta develop and build it up. And so, so I like to scale back and just work on their acceleration.
Can you tell, don't mean to interrupt you, but can you tell the athletes who have done track and field before, or Leichtathletik, as we would say in German, can you tell the athletes who have done Leichtathletik before?
When I see them running?
Yeah.
Yes, I can. Because they naturally have really good arm movement, and they'll have, because fast people have different speeds.
And they can control which speed they're in as well.
Exactly. And I'm not like putting down soccer players, but most of them have 3 speeds. It's either walk, jog, or my fastest. And the thing about that, the reason why soccer players need speed training is that you have to get in. You can't have 3 speeds and be fast. So you have to go in and manipulate your nervous system and do different runs, like change of pace runs, different tempo runs, changeover runs, which is turnover runs, and that's one of the keys. One of the keys for me with my training also is the transitional phase, and that phase is between acceleration and their top speed. Soccer players have to hit it now. It's got to be now. And you can teach this skill, because it is a skill. You
Mhm.
can you can teach this. Maybe they're not like Cristiano Ronaldo. They don't have his speed, but they can increase their speed,
Mhm.
their turnover, by doing certain exercises and training a certain way. You just have to put the work in. That sprinting it's almost like reps of weight training. Boom.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It's hard to nail down the mechanics once you've had your mechanics change. And you know, just as well as anybody, as soon as you teach somebody how to arm swing, they're going to be like, what is this? Like, it's going to mess you up for the first probably week that you're doing it. And then you realize, oh, it clicked now. And then monitoring pace. That's hilarious that you said that. I was consulting a club in Nordrhein-Westfalen this year, fifth league, I believe. And the coach said, I had programmed tempo run 75%. And the coach said, they can't run 75%. It's either 100 or it's nothing. It's like, this is the problem. There's a reason why I asked them to run 75% and not 100%. It's because I need them to know the difference between 75% and 100% so that we can run faster at 100% and be more efficient at 75%. So why are we sprinting
Yes.
100 meters? This doesn't make any sense. Oh, repeated sprint ability. They're two different things. This is a tempo run. You're trying to gas them out.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, I get a lot of that too. Like I get a lot of athletes. Like I've worked with some tennis athletes. I've worked with uh, tennis, and then some soccer players would say, "Yeah, hey, I'm a defender.
Mhm.
I run this amount," uh, and then the tennis player will say, "Hey, I only run about 7 meters and this," and then goalkeepers also say, "Hey, I run about 10 at the most."
Yeah.
But what they don't understand is 7 meters, 10 meters, 35 meters can't beat the scope of your speed. That can't
Right.
be it. You're gonna have to train over that to bring down everything else, because the in soccer, I think 70 to 80% of the game is played at sub-maximal level.
Mhm.
And then a lot of times in those sub-maximal levels, the game is won there too.
Yeah.
And so good sports posture is very important there, and good mechanics. You need to be having the same good mechanics at 60, 80% as you do at 95%. And then a lot of soccer players, I always see it, and this is in the Bundesliga too. They play high. They play really high, and unless you're just this exceptional athlete that can generate force can generate force and change directions in this high position, it's not
Bye.
going to happen.
Yeah.
You're not going to be at your optimum. You're not going to change direction. You're fastest, and you're going to get beat sometimes.
Mhm.
And that's that's why I tell people, attack your technique,
Mhm.
play with technique, play with technique. And then it's something that's muscle memory. If you watch your technique in these sub-maximal levels, it's easier to generate and have more force in the ground from this good sports specific posture.
Mhm.
It's just I just don't see how people do it, and I can understand that the stresses of the game, yeah, they do take the technique away from a lot of people. But you want to build your athlete to where they're keeping their sports technique and their sports posture. That's one of my number one goals. That's why when we finish playing, I look at film, I look at who is high, who is this, who is that, and yeah, we're always trying to improve it. Development never stops.
Absolutely not.
It
Ever.
just never stops. Yeah.
Yeah. Tell me when you this is also a very hot topic, obviously, in Germany, the difference between endurance running and sprinting. I know you touched on this a little bit, but when do you say, okay, enough with the endurance, we don't need this slow 65% submaximal capacity work or aerobic work, we need speed? What's the difference for you, and when do you say we need one or the other?
Okay. See, I have a speed triangle and I have a tempo triangle.
Mm-hmm.
And so off season, early season, I'm going to be doing, like I told you, a little bit of acceleration,
Mm-hmm.
not a lot. And I'm going to start off with those aerobic runs.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. That's going to be the off season. Okay. I'm going to concentrate on that. Then after, I will probably do that probably about maybe 3 or 4 weeks,
Mm-hmm.
because as a speed trainer, my capacity is speed. And so they're also getting this aerobic running with their practice.
Mm-hmm.
So we're getting that. We're taking care of that.
Okay, so two important things you said there. One, you can get endurance training or aerobic training in practice, sport-specific practice, right?
Yes,
And
you
the
can.
second is you said 3 to 4 weeks, you're doing that in those low intensity endurance runs because you can improve in that time, or do you see improvement in those 3 to 4 weeks?
What I want to do, we want to improve the aerobic capacity.
Mm-hmm.
We want we want to open up those capillaries and bring in more blood, more oxygen. So when we start running fast, because in that phase we're training to train.
Anatomical adaptation at its finest. Yep.
Yeah.
But people forget that that's so easy to improve with just like a little bit of work. I have that feeling that sometimes when I'm working with soccer players, especially, it's like, we need 12 weeks to improve my aerobic capacity. And that's not the case. If you're a good trainer, you can improve it. And you're working hard as an athlete, you can improve it in a very short period of time. So.
Yeah. And I think like I'm more of an advocate of really, we're not going our fastest, but
Mm-hmm.
we're working on those acceleration. And during that off-season phase, I want to work on some maximum velocity posture. Just working on that, working on the mechanics and things like that. I like to scale back and do that too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that as well. I'm a big fan of maximum velocity training, which for listeners, that's over 25-ish meters. So if you're thinking like 40-yard dash, and the research tells us in soccer specifically, we don't get a ton of those runs, but when we do get those runs, they can be very dangerous as far as injuries are concerned, because a lot of times our hamstrings aren't prepared to handle the load of, oh my goodness, I'm about to put 6 times my body weight on one leg while I'm sprinting and laying it on my hamstring, basically putting this at maximum capacity. And so maximum velocity sprinting is great for the hamstrings, great for the glutes, great for endurance, great for speed, whatever. And so that first step, as you were saying, from the transition from acceleration into maximum capacity, even though we don't use max capacity a ton when we're playing, it's really important still that we train that, obviously.
Yeah, if I can interrupt you.
Absolutely.
But in that off-season phase,
Mm-hmm.
my maximum velocity, we are not going past about, we're totally just working on technique. A lot of technique things. I'm doing max V drills. Yeah, we're working on that. We're not ready to go fast yet. Not yet. And a lot of times you have to hold back your athletes because they're ready to move fast now. And you got to build them up, and they don't understand that a lot of times. Yeah. Okay. And that first phase, that off season phase, I'm going to do that during the off season. And then that latter part of the off season, then I'm going to step it up and do intensive tempo.
Mm-hmm.
And when I start doing that, the intensive tempo, our goal is really to overload the aerobic system. We're still overloading that system, but it's about, we want to keep it, we're going to go a little higher with the effort. We're going to go about 75%, stay around 75, 65% around that. Mm-hmm. And an example, you can do like 10 times 100 meters at 75% with like 30-second rest between them.
Mm-hmm.
That's not your maximum velocity, but we are overloading that system.
Yep.
So, and we're working on our sprint mechanics, making sure they have good sprint mechanics, because like I said, sprinting is a skill, and we're working on that, and we're also working on that energy system at the same time. So that is in a perfect world, usually that's how it works.
So never. Sports being a perfect world.
Yeah, but then when you have injuries, it's kind of like, yeah, you have an athlete that has an injury, then they kind of gotta go back down, and then you gotta work your way back up. It's sort of like sharpening a stick with a knife. You like have a knife, and you sharpen that stick, and then the point breaks. Boom, you got a little injury. Then you have to sharpen it again. Yeah, so it's just, and that's sports. Sometimes you have injuries and you have to go back down.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's, I hate injuries. I hate soft tissue injuries. So I don't want soft tissue injuries for my athletes. I don't want my athletes hurt. I want them to improve.
I generally feel like soft tissue injuries are my fault for the most part as well as the coach. So
I do too. And sometimes, man, I feel like I lost my girlfriend when one of my athletes gets a soft tissue injury.
Like, man, I'm so sorry.
Yeah. And that's just like you got to crunch your numbers too to make sure they're, and that's like when you work with a team, that's where your physios, that's where your doctor, that's where the functional movement guy,
Mm-hmm.
or the coach, that's when we would say, hey, the workload is a little heavy.
Yeah.
Let's back off. It's okay to back off sometimes. It's okay. Sometimes you have to change your program.
Mm-hmm.
Like I've come in and Marcus, my coach, will say they had 2 games. They've had 2 games. They're fried. And then we're going to load the nervous system. We're going to work on the nervous system, do fast things under 7 seconds,
Mm-hmm.
Throw in some neurological movement drills, and just work on anticipation, reaction, recognition, things like that, and with color codes to get them fast thinking and fast moving, but you're not building up lactic acid.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes I have something scheduled, and he says, hey, and that's the hat that I wear. I have to change it up. Yeah, so
Flexibility is the coach's best friend. Yeah. Can we talk a little bit about, as you mentioned that with overloading, load management is super important. Can you talk about speed and the role of sprinting in return to play from injuries? I know you work at Fusion 5 and you mentioned that, so I'm sure you've done your share of returning to play or returning an athlete to play via sprinting.
Yeah, with Fusion 5, I have a different hat. So
okay.
I have we have really excellent physios at Fusion 5. So they'll update me on where they are, how much they think they can go. I get a lot of information from our physios.
Okay.
And
that's great to have, because not everybody gets that.
we're all on the same page. And then once I get that information, then I know exactly what to do. If they have, for instance, have a hip, maybe a little bit of a hip flexor problem, then I'm going to do some acceleration stuff from ground up. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to have them flipping that hip and turning it and torquing it. Yeah. We're going to work our way into that, and definitely when you're working with them, if they have that hip flexor problem, you want to make sure it's activated and mobilized and ready to go before you do anything with them. But
you're not sprinting them cold.
No, not at all. Just keeping them. Yeah, if they have like an ankle injury, like I have my 5 phases of acceleration. Like I'll start them. I'll see if they can do. I'll usually start them out with the technical acceleration, which we'll do wall drills, some just a drill where they can support themselves a little bit more and not put weight on that injury and not use it as much. And if they need that wall or something to stabilize themselves, they have it there. So I'll start with a lot of technical acceleration drills, and we'll do that for 3 or 4 sessions, and we'll see where they are. The athletes at Fusion 5 improve pretty rapid. They improve pretty fast.
Mm-hmm.
Then we'll go into some pattern acceleration. I'll start doing that, and that's just pattern acceleration. It can be you're just working on the motor patterns, just letting them get the rhythm back for running and things like that.
Would that be like strides per second counting, or what do you do?
It can, pattern accelerations are like hot feet drills, speed ladder, letting them do things like that, quick stuff like that. But if you see that they're still favoring that injury, you may have to scale back and go single leg acceleration. And maybe they need 2 bills. And maybe normally with an ankle, you want them to get the stability back into it and to work and work strength.
Yeah.
So I'll isolate that injury, and we'll put enough weight on there to where they're getting to where they're working it. You can do box knee drives and things like that and work on those things. That way you're working on a single side, because you have a lot of times, sometimes you can do pattern acceleration and have an injury, and your body will balance itself out. It'll have a biometrical balance. But in reality, once you finish that phase and you're doing speed training, we're trying to do neurological recruitment. So because of the signal, because of that injury, you're not getting that signal is not going there. And so you're not recruiting the same muscles if you're not working that side. Because if you use both feet, then your body is balancing itself out for that hurt side.
Yeah.
So you have to, and I like to coordinate with the physio with that normally too.
Multidisciplinary teams are vital though in return to play. So it's good that you're doing that anyway. But it sounds like you're always loading the tissues, but it depends on how much they can take. So for anybody who doesn't know, a wall drill is literally standing next to a wall, and either you have your arms outstretched and you're using that to hold your weight while you execute a drill, a lot of times form drills, or beside it. I know you do a lot of acceleration technique and arm swing movement and speed of leg and stride with standing next to the wall, for example. And so we're starting with the basics, loading it, and then working our way up to fast feet, and then single side loading if necessary. Did I get that right?
Yeah.
That's dope.
And if they have a major injury that requires them to take some time out, like 2 or 3 weeks, you can have them sit down, because if they're an elite athlete, you still need to be working those energy systems. And I have a host of arm drills that you can do, and you will feel it.
Yeah.
So you need to still be working that. You can't just get on that bike and just do that stationary bike and just do aerobics all the time, because when you get back on the pitch and you start moving, you're gonna feel nasty.
Yeah, you're gonna get rocked. That's what's gonna happen. You just rehabbed last year. Was it last year? I believe a goalkeeper who had a serious ankle injury as well, right? So how do you keep somebody's speed up or get somebody back to speed who's had a serious injury like that, where it totally blasts their nervous system for a long period of time and requires rehab?
Yeah, that's what I'm going to do. When I have an athlete that has a very serious injury, there's not the first thing is, and I found this to really help things move fast.
Mm-hmm.
You have to explain to them what you're doing. Hey, we are going to work on your fast twitch muscles.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to work on because fast nerves, fast muscle fibers. Right now, you can't use your ankle, but we can work on soft skills. We can work on drills where you're sitting down, anticipation, recognition, reaction, those things, catching tennis balls, one leg, stability catches, things like that. You can do all kinds of things, but they need to be thinking fast and also moving. You can't just, and if you can get them to buy into it and be like, yeah, this is really working. I feel good. That's half the battle.
Yeah. Now they're doing it themselves.
Yeah, exactly. When you have someone that's not sure of what they're doing, because I played American football at a very high level. I've been hurt. And I've been in a situation where I didn't trust.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not a good situation to be in when you're trying to rehab and come back. I pulled my hamstring. I think it was the Atlanta. I had a workout with the Atlanta Falcons. And I could not go because my hamstring, I was having a lot of soft tissue injuries. And the guy kept telling me, he was saying, hey, that's scar tissue. You're
man.
not pulling. Go ahead and hit it, man. Hit it, or you're gonna be here like a still babying that thing in 2 more months. And I was babying it because I didn't trust him, because I thought I was gonna pull it again, and he kept telling me it's scar tissue. And then like it's 2 months and the NFL is in training camp and I don't have a team, and I'm just like, wow. And then I decided to go out and I'm like, shoot, I might as well run now. I don't have a team. I got to stay in shape. And then I was running and I heard something say, pop. And the scar tissue popped. Yeah, the scar tissue.
Yeah, but enough to make you panic for a second, probably.
Yeah, for a second. Then I'm like, oh man, it's gone. That tension is gone. And it was scar tissue. That's all it was. And like some injuries, you can't baby them, but you can't overdo it either. You have to find that thresh point to where that medium to
Takes a good coach athlete relationship though to figure out where that middle point is.
And that's what, and from that experience, that's where I try to when my athletes are hurt, I'm kind of like I'm hurting too. I want to get you, because that's one of my things. I want to get them back and 100% and performing and doing their thing. So I'm always trying to do that. So that's the main thing that I do. I want to talk with them and tell them what we're doing, why we're doing it. We're recruiting your muscle fibers, and most of the athletes will understand it. And then I tell them, hey, we're recruiting those muscle fibers, and then we're going to keep doing these exercises and until we can get those the neurological application to where your muscles are, they just know what to do.
Yeah,
that's what we're trying to do.
So education first.
Yes. Education first when it's a major injury like that. Yeah, because that was a major injury for her.
That was a crazy injury too. I'm glad she's back. It's good.
And she's the starter.
Yeah. Yeah, she came back and proved that it was worth it, that she made the most of the time, that's for sure.
And she is a hard worker. She is a hard worker. She's a grinder. So she has that drive. She has it. That's not all athletes have that, but she has that it. She has drive. Like, even though she's a goalie, she still wants to do speed training with me. She does once a week with me.
That's dope. In Fusion 5?
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's great. Yeah, I have injury comeback stories for me are kind of my favorite because I feel like when you have that good coach athlete relationship, the comeback can be so incredible because they come out back actually better than they were before, and they can prove to themselves, hey, I made the most of this time, and not just I came back at the same level, but I came back better, and I know what I'm doing, and I trust my coach, and I know how to train, and I trust my body. So that's a win in your book.
But I like keeping my athletes healthy.
Yeah, man.
I love
Top
it when
priority.
everything's healthy and just, yeah, that's it. Hey, you can't beat that.
Nah, and it's the best feeling to see them succeed as well.
Yeah,
That's the icing on the cake.
it really is.
So I had a question from a listener. What soccer positions sprint the most and which ones need the most speed? What's your experience with that?
My experience with that is that all of them need speed.
True that, even the keepers.
Yeah, even the keepers, cause like as I go back to where we're always trying to teach athletes to be good sprinters with the best sprint posture. That's the number one goal. Um, yeah, per game sprinters, I think the defenders have usually about 19 sprints from to 10 to 25 meters.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the forwards, they sprint about 25 sprints a game.
Mm-hmm.
And then the midfielders are usually, they sprint the most.
Yeah.
Yeah, they sprint about 30 times a game. But one thing about my training is that if you look at the statistics, and I've looked at a lot of statistics of soccer players sprinting, that first half, they're really high. Their rate of speed is high, and that second half is significantly lower. Yeah, it's slower. So
Dive bomb.
yeah, and so that's the difference between, like, I think you asked the question about endurance.
Mm-hmm.
You have these two things. It's called sprint endurance.
Mm-hmm.
And endurance is being able to keep your effort or your runs around your 85 to 100%. So
Mm-hmm.
it's going to be between, all the runs need to be between there. And if they fall, if your runs are falling under your 85%, you have bad speed endurance.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, if you're falling apart, your technique is falling apart and everything, that's bad. But then you have sprint endurance. Sprint endurance is being able to sprint at your full speed and not having that huge drop off.
Mm-hmm.
Like you might have an 8% drop off from your 100 each sprint. And there are some women athletes in the Bundesliga that they don't have a drop off. And I have seen some of them, a lot of them. Yeah, they don't have a drop off. Like a runner, I think Hasim Bolt's drop off might be 3%.
Yeah, it's insane.
It's really insane. But like the based on your fitness and your sprint endurance, sometimes that drop off can go past 8%.
And the biggest part about that, though, is their capacity to recover very quickly, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And you, that's why 100-meter sprint, that's one of the reasons why Hasim Bolt does not run anymore. He would love to just run the 100, but he does not want to put all that prep work into it, that is called that behind the scenes stuff that
Mm-hmm.
people don't see when you're throwing up. That's when he's running his 400s. That's
Yeah.
when he's running those 300s and he's dying. He
Yeah.
does not want to do that. And that's grueling and it's very taxing on the body. And then it's
And
hard
mentally,
not to
man.
start get injuries.
Yeah.
It's hard to run at that speed, at those speeds, and not have injuries.
Yeah.
You really have to have a team behind you, keeping you together.
Mm-hmm.
The body is not humanly, it's just not humanly built to keep running that fast.
Limits, limits, limits.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's where the speed reserve comes in, though, right? When we talk about speed endurance and sprint endurance, like if your 100% is low, like if you don't have a capacity for speed, then your 85% and your ability to hold that is going to be lower than the other team if the other team is fast. So yes, you might have good endurance, but your good endurance is at what, 55, 65%, whereas your speed endurance at 85% keeps dropping, and now we're at 75%, and now we're at 65%.
And that is not good. That
No.
is not a good. That's not a fit team.
No.
Shouldn't have. You want to keep everyone around their 85%. That is really important. If they're dropping past that, that is a definite problem.
Yeah. And how would you correct that problem?
We're gonna run.
That's the best answer there is.
And I'm gonna build up their. I'm gonna build up their speed reserve.
Mm-hmm.
Gonna build that up, but that's like, but one of my teams will never go through that because we're gonna build that base at the beginning. So when we build that base, and when, for instance, there's a problem, we don't go all the way back down, but we can start in the middle right here. And we take from there, because like I pretty much program all my soccer teams the same. I program them like, because they actually have to peak 2 times during the year.
Yeah.
So I can't have them peaking, and you sort of have to peak. You sort of have to program them like a track and field team, like they're doing indoor track and field and outdoors track and field. Okay, the elite athletes are going to dominate the indoor track and field and then go outdoors and dominate. Everyone else is going to use that as we're training to train.
Mm-hmm.
Then we go to training to perform.
Mm-hmm.
So right now, SGS actually we're not peaking right now, because you just can't have them peaking.
They can't peak all the time.
They can't peak the whole time. You have to go down, and you need to stay within that 85 to that 100%. So right now, we're probably about, to where we can be, we're like about 80, 87 right now. Like, you have some individual girls that are just fast.
Yeah.
But that's not how that's not really how I build my program. I'm always going to build it from the middle.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to always get the average of everything. When we do sprints, when I'm doing it, and also you have to time.
Mm-hmm.
So you have a measuring stick where you are. You have to know
what your baseline is.
What our baseline, and I want to get our team baseline. So what I'll do is we're going to time everybody, and we're going to throw out the top 2, throw out the bottom 2, and that is who we are.
Mm-hmm.
That's our team right there, because everybody's going to have 2 or 3 fast ones,
2 or 3 really slow ones.
Exactly. So that's how I build my team from the middle. From everything is geared towards them, because you can get the high performers, you can reach them, we can move up to them, but then we don't get too high to where those low performers, the people that's at low, they lose motivation.
Yeah, I get left behind.
Exactly. And that's, a trainer's only good as your lowest athlete. That's just, somebody told me that a long time ago, and I believe it now. You are only
so true, though.
Yeah, you can't be saying, man, that kid is sorry. No, you got to do this right here and point that thumb right back at yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're only as good as your last athlete.
Yep. That's why we want to, the rising tide raises all ships, right? So get all of the athletes better, raise all of their baseline, get the averages up. The way I always explain it to athletes is if we come in at the bottom tier, and that's our average, we want to raise everybody's baseline multiple different times throughout the season. So our baseline is higher now, and our 85% of capacity is better than it was last season. And then when we need to, that peak point isn't too far away. Okay, so we got a Pokalspiel. We got a championship. We got this, that, or the other thing. We're going to play the best team in the league, whatever. Boom, we bump up to 90. Boom, 100, back down. But you cannot stay peaked for 52 weeks a year, especially not in the Bundesliga where we play almost year round anyway, which is, of course, why we have an intense number of injuries, excessive, if I do say so myself. You look at other leagues in the world and it's like, you guys, why do we train like this in the Bundesliga? Why is this a Germany-specific problem? Because you can't be at 100% performance for 22 to 28 Spieltage in the year.
But what I like to do is when I have a group that I've been working with, like SGS, this year we had to start over because we lost
you lost like 6 players, didn't you?
We lost 10. Lost 10. So we basically started back over. Yeah. So, but next year, remember I told you about that I'm always looking for that average.
Yeah.
We're gonna pick that average up next year.
Yeah. And every single year.
Every single year that average is gonna come up. And then that's when our 85% looks faster than everybody else's 100%.
Yeah, that's when things happen like last season where you make the Pokalfinale and it's like everybody's like, how did they do that? Oh, well, their performance is at 85% is FFT Frankfurt's 100% right now. So
and I was like, when I sat back and watched that game again, just seeing them perform and seeing their performance angles, the angles they were taking when they changed directions, they were dropping their hips and things like that, and
cutting
moving
like pros.
Arms like pros. Arms were moving, and that's when that muscle memory kicks in, and all those times of saying arms.
Yeah.
It just they just did it, man, and that was a great feeling seeing that. It really was.
It's an incredible feeling. Yeah. I have one player as well who is doing exceptionally well at the moment, and seeing her perform like a pro and all of those cues that she used to be like, oh my God, if you say that one more time, I'm leaving. And now she's incredible and does it automatically, and I don't have to say it, and just watching her glow is amazing.
Yeah,
and stay uninjured.
Yeah, that is really important. But that whole league has some really good women athletes. Yeah, sometimes I watch the games and I'm like, wow, those girls are really moving, and just they really have great athletes in that Bundesliga.
Me too. And then it makes me sit back and say, wow, I really wish you had a really good strength or speed coach, because you could really make it somewhere. Yeah. It's too bad all of that incredible genetics and all of that talent, man. If that was in the States, you'd be playing D1 college right now, bro. Full ride scholarship and everything.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But yeah, no, we're pretty lucky that we have some pretty incredible athletes in a pretty awesome league and sports that we get to work in. So
I thoroughly enjoy it. It is really, I really enjoy it.
Talk to us about secrets. You and I talked about this previously off, before we started recording. We mentioned that, in the world of sports science and coaching, there's a lot of ideas and there's a lot of methodologies, and communication between coaches isn't always great, but there's so many benefits of communicating between coaches, sharing ideas, learning from each other. And some people are just like, no, I'm not going to tell you my secrets. And other people are like, there are no secrets. So here, what's the big deal about there being no secrets for you? Why do you live like that?
I don't believe in secrets because the people that, well, my coaches and my mentors, we always exchanged information. I don't care. Even when I was a American football coach, after the game, I'm like going like, "Hey man, that linebacker was everywhere. I mean, what do you guys do? Why did you play this when we went trips? Why did you do this?" And then we sit there and rap and we talk. And he said, "Yeah, we saw this on film. We saw this on film." And then in America, it's a little bit different. The philosophy of training and our approach is a little bit different. We don't mind sharing information. Like you have one of the best college coaches. His name is well, you know, Nick Saban.
Of course.
Everyone knows him. Okay, he will, in the summer, he invites all the coaches to his coaching clinic. He says, "Hey, come on, we're gonna have a good time. We're gonna tell you what we do, what we do in the off season, how to stop an offense, which plays work against it, and this and that. We're just gonna have a good old time." And he tells you that with a smile on his face, and then he's looking at you like, "And we're still gonna kick your butt this season." Mm-hmm. And you go to that clinic and you learn from that guy, man, and you learn everything. And he does kick your butt that season, but it
annihilates you.
Yeah, but we share information. That's how, like, if you and I watch a seminar, a sports seminar, hey, you might see M, I might see W, someone else might see a 3, someone might see an E, and you have different perspectives. And if you don't share information, and you can't grow as a trainer. I think some of the when I've, like, after track and field meets, I've gone to the track coach and said, "What are you guys doing for all of you? Everybody can run the 400 meters here. What are you guys doing?" And then he'll tell you.
Yeah.
We're doing this. We're doing a lot of speed endurance, super 500s, and we do those and everything. The kids love it, and they tell you, and you exchange information, and like, just, yeah, like, and then I had this track and field coach. We had a 400 meter guy, and his times were inconsistent. He was a really good 400 meter man. And I was like, wow, his time's fluctuating like this. And so I was like, man, what is he doing? And then one of the coaches heard me and said, "Coach, when he's coming off of that third turn, he needs to tuck his chin, because he has his head all over the place when he's coming off that curve." And that guy didn't have to tell me that. And when he told me that, I was like, wow, that's it. That's where he's losing time. And so I found out from just talking. And we just exchanged so much information. Yeah, and I love working here in Germany, but the exchange of information, they are very secretive. And it's like, they don't want to share the information, and we're all doing the same things.
Yeah.
And it's, there's nothing I can do. I would love to talk with different coaches about what they do and things like that, but they're not always open.
It's true. I am extremely blessed to be working with 2 different soccer federations. Neither of them are Germany at the moment. For the women's national team departments, let's say, as well as junior national teams, and have mentors in both of those federations. And it is incredible to be like, hey, I'm German here in Germany, and I work with a lot of German athletes, also German national team players, et cetera. And they're like, well, here's what we've been doing here, and here's what we're testing, and here's what, tracking the cycle over here, and here's like an app you could use, and here's what we've been doing for speed training lately, and it seems to be really helping reduce injuries in this area, and giving me this information like, we're not going to play each other in the World Cup in 3 years, right? And they're like, we don't care, because different athletes, you're a different coach, you're going to implement it differently. Most likely you won't implement it at all, or you'll implement it wrong. And as I was telling you earlier, you and I could have the exact same information come to us and implement it in two separate different ways and get different results because we are different coaches. And that's what it is at the end of the day. Nobody's stealing. There's no secret information. It's all out there. It's just a matter of how it's implemented into who and by whom.
Yeah, and it's just like also sometimes I see a lot of videos, a lot of seminars, and if I do something or take someone's stuff, because yes, I am going to use some people's work because I see that it can be effective for my athletes. So
Yeah.
yes, I am going to use it, but I will give you credit.
Absolutely.
If I'm using like a slingshot method for track and field, I might, in my video, I'm gonna put Bud Winters there. That's an old school guy for you.
You've even done that on Instagram, written me and been like, oh yeah, this drill is from such and such. Go check out his page or whatever.
Yeah, I'm gonna give them their credit. That's showing respect and everything. And I think that's important because you can't. It's like everything has been done. I saw a video the other day, and this guy was like, "Yeah, I have a new drill that I came up with," and I'm like, "Dude, the 1977 Pittsburgh Steelers were doing that years ago.
They'd like their drill back."
Yeah, that's not new. I mean, there's so many things that they're not new, and when you don't give credit, it's like you're not respecting the past, because of the past we have the future. So you have to give those guys their credit. There are so many people, like I with the arms thing. I just, there's this track runner. His name is Carl Lewis. His track coach was a guy named Tom Tellis, and Tom Tellis believed in arms. He believed in those arms, and then I looked at his seminars, I read his book, and it just made sense to me. And that guy, and everything I do, I said, man, this is kind of one of the foundations of my speed training, arms. So I'm going to give this guy his credit.
Absolutely. I think it's important for us, though, as coaches, to be able to name who we learned philosophy from and continue asking questions as well and developing it. I feel like people just stop after a while from a coach's perspective. Well, I got it. My athletes are good. Like, I don't have to learn anything else.
No, you can never stop learning.
Until you're dead. You got to keep going.
I try to find someone to learn. About every 4 months, I'll take somebody and I'm just going to learn from them. There was a guy that I just started following and learning from him and looking at seminars. God, what is that guy's name? Jonas Dodo.
Yep. Eat, sleep, train. I love that guy.
That guy is good, man.
He is brilliant. Yeah.
Yes, he is excellent. He explains it in layman terms. But
his sprinters are fucking fast. Like,
yes,
he does not play around.
Yes, they are. That guy is really good, but a lot. I think his basis, a lot of he learned from, I forgot.
Dan Pfaff as well, he's learned from, and Charlie Francis had some influence before too.
Yeah, Charlie Francis. That was Ben. You remember Ben Johnson?
Of course.
Yeah. Charlie Francis is like the father of functional movement.
Yeah.
He's the starter of that.
He was also the starter of basic load management principles for the nervous system as well.
Yeah. He was really good. Yeah.
And highs and lows, high day, low day programming, and slow, fast tempo running as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, Charlie Francis knew what he was talking about, but Jonas is really good.
Yeah, he's good. And what's the other guy? I love Clyde Hart.
Mm-hmm.
You know Clyde Hart?
Yeah.
Clyde Hart from Baylor. That's Michael Johnson's trainer.
Yeah.
He the Golden Shoes. Michael Johnson. Yeah. I learned a lot from him and looked at a lot of his things. But with him, I really wanted to not to necessarily look at his program. I really got interested in his techniques for coaching, how he motivates, because to get somebody to run, I ran the 400 meters, and to get somebody to run and die like that every day doing those practices, you have to be one heck of a motivator. And so I really wanted to know what he does to get these people to, I know he doesn't threaten them all the time. So, if they're in college, you can threaten to take someone's scholarship, but
doesn't last for too long.
Yeah, everyone he has high performers all around him. Everything he touches, his program is just excellent.
Turns to gold.
Yeah, turns to gold. And you might want to check out that guy, Bud Winters.
Bud Winters.
Bud Winters is that is the father of modern day track and field. He's the guru. He's the guy that started Jamaican sprinting because he coached at San Jose during all those guys that won the 1968 Olympics were on his team. And those guys went back to Jamaica and took that and took his style of training to Jamaica.
Isn't this relax and win?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, he has a ton of Olympic sprinters as well.
Everything he touches is gold.
Yeah, world championship sprinters as well.
If someone has a track record like that, I'm going to look at what they're doing.
Yeah. Oh yeah, the results speak for the coach. That means the coaches need to talk less and let their athletes do the work. Coach, thank you so much for sharing your mind, philosophy, techniques. I know this will be really helpful because I have a lot of athletes right now who are stuck in quarantine, don't have access to their coaches, or, training is a little whacked out. They can't do it every day because this, that, and the other reason. So I know this will help to know you don't have to do long runs, get fast, use your arms, and start reading because there's no secrets. You will find the answers somewhere out there.
And thank you for having me. I'm glad I made it through. I'm a bit under the weather today. I like my sinuses are killing me today, and but I really enjoyed this. I really enjoyed it, and I hope that you'll have me back soon.
I hope that we can meet up in person soon because it's about damn time.
Yeah, I would love to do that. I really would love to collab with you and work with you, and yeah. That would be excellent.
We're not that far anymore. I used to be in southern Germany, and now I'm in Mittelhessen, in the middle of Hessen and Gießen. So I'm not that far from you guys. We just the Rona needs to go away. When the Rona is over. The what?
I said I hope I wasn't too boring.
Never. I think this is a good one for coaches, practitioners, as well as athletes. So. I think it's awesome. And yeah, you will definitely be back. Maybe next time we'll have a live episode. That would be sweet.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.